Finishers MMA, finishersmma.com, @finishers. That's how you find them on social media. These guys have a show with us every Monday called Now We Go. You can check it out. Zach, JM, Thor, Grace, there's too many to name that come out of that school, and they are killers in the game. They are the biggest MMA jiu-jitsu school in the area, and they are owning the East Coast. You can contact them at 610-438-0746. Ask for Andrew. They are at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. They have 2 locations as of now, Bethlehem and Allentown. They are growing into 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say they are taking over, but they already have. Check them out on all of their social media. They are awesome to follow. And if you're looking to get in shape, you're looking to choke people, you're looking to do anything at all to better your life, finishersmma.com. AllValleyRooter.net. That's not how you pronounce it all the time. I just say it that way. All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba. He is my plumber. He's the show's plumber. I'm getting him plumbing business all over, and I love that he is getting what he wants. He has 24-hour emergency service. He is certified, insured, and professional. You can follow him at All Valley Rooter. He's on social media, and you can find his information at allvalleyrooter.net. Jared came down over the weekend and he fixed a problem down here. He's super professional. I love him as a person. I love his business. He grew it, and he's doing his own thing. It's allvalleyrooter.net. It's 24-hour professional plumbing services. He can help you out with everything you need. It's 610-762-1656. He's certified, insured, and professional. Do not be afraid to contact him for any of your plumbing needs. Support Jared. Jared supports us. Luke Delmeyer Handmade Custom Knives. I love Luke. It's lukedelmeyer.com. He's a farrier, a bladesmith, and a blacksmith. He has custom knives, and the best part about it is you can take classes to make them. So not only can you take a class to learn how to make knives, at the end of the class, you get that knife. We're working on a project together. He started recently getting into chef knives, so he's starting to make chef knives. He makes hunting knives. He can make any of your needs as far as blacksmithing. That's at Luke Delmeyer on Instagram. That is the best way to follow him. You can see all the stuff that he's posting. He shares, he does raffles, he gives giveaways. Check out all things Luke Delmeyer at lukedelmeyer.com. We've had him on the show before. You can dig down in the library, listen to how he got started and where he's at now. I'm excited to work with Luke. He's a really good friend of the show, and I'm excited to showcase his chef knife that he's making me. Check out all things Luke Delmeyer at lukedelmeyer.com. Farrier, bladesmith, blacksmith. Rips Auto Detail. This guy is the best, hands down, in the area. I've interviewed him. I know his story. He's doing things that others aren't, and I love that he fucks with the show. I love getting the best of the best and having them support and be a part of this. That's what the sponsorship is for. I'm giving you the best people in their profession, and Rips is the best at auto detail. It's at Rips Auto Detail for Instagram. You follow that. He's showing you the different cars he does, and it's at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He offers paint correction, ceramic, SPS coatings, and more. This is appointment only, and it's ripsautodetail@gmail.com. You can call him at 484-553-1366. I tell you, follow him. If you don't know, you want to know more about what he does, follow him on Instagram. Follow Rips Auto Detail, and you can see all the things that Rip does. He's a big part of the show. We have a separate show we do called Road Dogs, and you can check out his past interviews and hear his whole story. I couldn't recommend this guy more for your auto, car, boat, plane. This guy literally has done everything, and he is the best in the area doing this. Rips Auto Detail.
Cool.
Dude, I made like a tomato. Why do I do anything?
I believe this is episode 201. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Nobody really, I don't know how to get into these. I don't know. I just start them now. I used to be like super nervous and I'd start sweating and then I'd be like, oh. So now I was just like, there's no awkward. I mean, you have to just go.
Okay, gosh.
That's how I do it. How are you? Thank you for coming down. You brought so many cookies. I want to get into them eventually. When did you start baking?
Okay, so funny you would ask. This calls for one of my props. I was looking last night. This is my talk show debut, and they always go out with like their big photos and they're like, well, Ellen, look at this. So November 26th, 2013. This is my first cookie.
First cookie ever.
A squirrel and an acorn.
Why am I looking up there? It's right in front of me.
It's right here. And actually only 3 people liked it. And those 3 people are like my best friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, so November 26, 2013, that was
I'm
my
glad
first.
I got a prop right off the bat. I'm glad you're making guests step their game up.
I like to do a little extra. It's
well,
kind of
when
a
I
flaw.
started following you, not to like your house or anything on social media, I was like, wow, she really like you do a fantastic job on your social media, and you are yourself, and it's hard to actually be yourself on social media, and then to be able to pull it off in the fashion that you do. I was only expecting things like this, and it was like, but that was the appeal. I'm like, man, this is gonna be a fun interview because like it isn't gonna be you being like, I like baking. Like you're just like gonna be yourself here.
No, that's exactly what it is. So it was my best friend. She was having a baby and somebody else had made cookies. And I think I ate like 12 of these cookies and they were not great. They were just, basic little whales. And I thought I could do this. And so I did. I went home and I made them. And I remember thinking like, wow, these are like so good. Like, whoa, Mare. And then I look back at these little squirrels that I remember someone going, oh, what is that? And I was like, really? That's a squirrel. But they were delicious. And then I think it was like a year later that I actually started using royal icing because this is.
Well, did you bake when you were younger?
I did. So my mom won the Betty Crocker Award in high school.
This is what I wanted to get into.
Yeah, so that apple didn't fall far from that tree. My mom was always like amazing baker. We always took baked goods. Like it'd be the night before, and I'm like, "Hey, Mom, can you go whip up some cookies for tomorrow?" She loves that story, and she'd be ticked off and. They would obviously taste a little bitter because she was bitter. But yeah, so I have done it my entire life, but I kind of got into it more as an adult because I had that cookie and I was like, I can do this. And then I was a stay-at-home mom and I was bored. Nobody tells you when you're becoming a mother that dedicating your life to your children is amazing, but you might be missing something. And that was what it was. I was missing something.
Yeah.
And so these cookies, as stupid as it sounds, changed my life. Like they made me feel valuable. They made me feel like I was important. And like I didn't have a college degree, so I didn't have a way of doing something other than with my creativity. And so that just blew up.
I know a lot of stay-at-home moms, and my sister-in-law I have 4 nieces, so she stayed home to raise them, and then now when the last 2 are a little bit older, she started like working at the library just out of like she just couldn't, like you need to do something.
You need to talk to adults, like to real people. And that was a big thing too. Like you have people come and pick up and I just word vomit on them.
Yeah, that's how I am.
I'm like,
I'm
hey.
down here. Like, hey, a person.
Oh my gosh.
Is
what
it nice
can I tell
outside?
you? Exactly. Like, what can I tell you? What can we talk about right now? And like, if you talk to me more than one time, I consider you my friend.
Yeah.
So basically, I have a lot of friends now.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I love it. I love the people aspect of it. I love the baking aspect of it. I love pretty much everything about it.
When did you start? Sorry, I forgot to set the timer. When did you start like really turning the corner on like, did you start promoting it and then taking other orders from like, friends that were having babies, people that were getting married, then it was like kind of word of mouth. Like when did it kind of start like really turning into like, because I know how it was with starting the burger thing where I was like, oh, we'll make a little bit of extra money, but then you dump so much back into it. You never, like we still haven't paid ourselves yet. But we've always just been dumping it back into the business. So when did it kind of turn into like you started buying more supplies and changing rooms in the house to being like, because you basically have to transform your house or wherever you're doing it into a makeshift kitchen / place where you're building all this. So, I mean, when did it really start moving forward when you were like, oh shit, I have like 10 orders and then this is like a work day?
I I don't think I can pinpoint when it actually turned into like a thing for me. I do know that I used to have to just have them all over these tables because I didn't have any way to like dry them otherwise. And then I got a baker's rack and felt like the real shit like at the point. No, there was never like one time where I'm like, oh, I am now a business. It just kind of, people started talking about it, and then like other people started talking about it, and then other people started talking about it, and then people are like, she's weird, and then they started talking about it. And so it just kind of avalanched into it. I think I remember making, and this was my first like non-family member one. It was for someone's Eagles birthday, and it was similar to these. It looked like awful. And she was like, these are amazing. I'm like, you, my friend, best friend now. So yeah, I don't know. There was no exact time where it like took over. But you're right, it does
just kept
take
growing,
over. Yeah.
growing.
I have a cookie room. I have a fridge. I have prep tables. And I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I have 1,900 cookie cutters.
Oh my God.
And those cookie cutters cost between $3 to $5 each. And then you think about all that money and you're like, whoa, I should have insurance on just those cookie cutters. But yeah, it takes over your life. Takes over.
When we started doing the burgers and the bagels, it's funny how like where rooms and things just get sacrificed because you're so into like doing the project, or especially with down here. I mean, that's kind of like we cleared out this whole back area, and like now that's like the prep area, and it's like you start making more space for like the passion that you love. What did it feel like once you finally kind of had a rhythm and like kind of started stepping into doing something that was yours? It was also creativity, plus you can put your personality into the cookies. And like, what did that feel like going from somebody who kind of was just spending your time with your children and raising them, and then that now it's like you have this other purpose besides naturing a child, but like now you can like really take your personality in these things and then dump it into something that like the response on it is so like heartfart.
So have you ever seen the movie Pleasantville?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Is
So you
that
know
like
when
when
it's
it
like-
turns to color?
Like I became a person. I, had color. Yeah, like I felt very in the background when I was just focused on kids. And now it's like I feel as though I am being seen, and I love it. How did it feel? I mean, it just felt like I woke up. I never expected this. I actually wanted to be a lawyer or a plumber. Of all careers.
How do you go from those spectrums? What appealed to you about plumbing? Let's switch some gears here.
So my first job.
I wish you would have had a prop for that. You were like, well, I went as Mario for Halloween.
I actually could pull up the Mario pictures because I do have a Mario costume. And it looked way better than Nice Slice, just saying. No. The plumbing thing. So my first job was at a hardware store. But when I say hardware store, you think of tools. Hardware store in my hometown growing up was like, we called it the Eau Claire Mall because you could get your milk there. You could get groceries there. You could get
those
your
places.
Christmas tree shop stuff there.
I think there's still stuff like that in Regalsville.
Well, this was on the other side of the state. Very small town. I always like to say that there's 300 people that live in my hometown. I was related to 296 of them. And so I had to move across the state to find someone like to love that wasn't related to me. But yeah, it's just, so I worked in this hardware store. It was the best job ever because we kind of screwed around a lot. And you knew everybody. Like half of my family had worked there before, and they're like, you're that Douglas girl. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. Like, my mom, go tell her I didn't comb my hair today, because that's what happened. So I got into the plumbing stuff there. And actually, I had a job offer to be a stripper there one time, but that's a story for another day. So it was an all-inclusive job.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought it was so bizarre that you were like, well, I want to be a lawyer or a plumber.
Yeah. I had a really great history
What appealed
teacher.
with the law?
I had a really great history teacher in high school that I loved. And I don't know, I liked rules. And so I like to follow the rules. And I thought, wow, yeah, like a lawyer, if you have rules, like you follow them. And then I was like, no, bad guys get let go a lot.
Yeah.
And I would not have argued well because I get very upset. I probably would have just been crying the whole time. Like, he's not guilty.
They're like, pull it together, ma'am.
Totally. I also don't like shoes. So if I had to wear shoes every day for my job, it would probably be.
You could have probably pulled off flops in the courtroom.
I have tie-dye Crocs. I hope that would have worked.
Do you wear Crocs when you bake?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Crocs that I wore to like 2 pop-ups. Sneakers work better just because it's outside, but
Yeah.
Crocs absolutely inside
So much
in a
easier.
kitchen is.
I
like-
wear them in defense mode. Do you?
Oh, yeah. No, I
With-
don't. I'm
I have to
I'm a
because of my
risk
feet.
taker. I
No.
take those straps right
Somebody
off.
might start chasing me. You know, like I need to have them ready at all times.
Yeah, I got Crocs probably when I was cooking at the deli, and it was just I was tired of going through shoes, and then when I got them, everybody was giving me shit, and I was like, I don't care. I was like, they last like at least for the entire year. The tread doesn't go on them, and then if
Yeah.
you spilled stuff on them, I'm not burning. Like I think I still have a scar. Because the first pair of Crocs I bought weren't the cooking kind, so like they had the holes.
I have air
I
holes.
have a grease mark from where I worked that like was from the fryer. It went right through the hole and burned the top of my foot, and I was like, it sucked. But yeah, Crocs are great.
All you have to do is say Mario Batali wears yellow Crocs. He actually bought like all of the yellow Crocs that Crocs made, and he wouldn't let them make them.
Yeah, that's
anymore,
when I
so-
first started wearing them because he was, and then
Exactly.
they made the bistro ones. So it was like the bistro ones were like the first ones that like somebody in a kitchen designed like kitchen Crocs, and then I was like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, it's a no brainer. They're like $60 and they last the whole year.
Mine has air conditioning.
What, the holes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that ever
Well-
because I'm nervous now that I burned my foot.
Mine's a little different. Like I don't have to worry about the grease so much.
No. When did you start cranking them out? Like when did it start like picking up and you were like, shit?
I think it's been probably about 5 or 6 years now.
You've been doing it that long?
November 26, 2013.
I love that you came with props.
I have more props.
I
but
hope we get into the other prop.
No, it's probably been 5 or 6 years, I think. Like it's I don't know. It took over my life, and then you forget like
Yeah.
what your life was like without saying I have to do cookies. Like anytime anybody asks you to go somewhere. And like I permanently smell like sugar cookie. Permanently.
Yeah.
My house permanently smells like sugar cookie. And there was one time I smelled like croissants, and someone stopped me in a store and they were like, "What do you smell like?" And I was like, sugar cookies? They're like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, wait. Today I was making croissants." So I think it's been like 5 or 6 years. And I slowed down recently because I am in pastry school because I want that little diploma that says, "Yo, Mare, you did it." So I slowed down a little bit, but
When did you decide to go back to school?
I don't know. I'm almost done. I've been in it for like a year and a half now. And it really was just me wanting to have that like certificate and having validation that yes, you're doing something. Like it's not just.
And I'm sure there's
cookies.
stuff that you're going to learn there as well. Like we started talking about with the bagel stuff. Like Gina was like, "Hey, like, do you want to take this class over at Knack Yak on like this style of baking?" And like, you know, now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I would go back and just learn more stuff just to have, you know, more range of what you would want to do.
Definitely.
Did you think that you were going to learn something there, or do you think that like you kind of been doing it for so long, you knew kind of what everything was going to be?
I had very high hopes for this. And I am not knocking it in any way. I was too advanced for it. So I have a 4.0. I've never missed a point. Like, and I'm not like bragging, but yeah, I am. Like, I totally am. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
but
very
that's hard
proud of
work.
that.
I mean, you put a lot of hard work in before that, even going to it.
I do. And so when I went into pastry school in orientation, no joke, I am not making this story up. Someone came in and said, "Oh, hey, this might sound crazy, but I'm deathly afraid of knives. What can we do about that?" And the first assignment was knife skills. So it was just, it's different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot of people that were more like-minded who maybe had some skills under their belt like I do, but
Or like were they just there to kind of tweak some business skills?
There was a class where they had said like, oh, what are you guys doing now, like as a profession, and what do you plan to do? Most of the people said that they were either disabled or retired or I can't remember what the other one was. There were not a lot of people that were like, oh, hey, I actually work in food and want to continue to work in food and hone my skills. So it's just been a different type of people where I thought it was going to be people that
Yeah,
were more...
I mean, when you said that, I figured it would be other people like yourself, and then you would meet other people like starting businesses and would relate and like...
Yes!
Yeah.
I did too. I actually have a baking bestie, my pastry bestie, who is similar. She works for Disney in Gideon's Bake Shop, and she's...
That's crazy.
It's so cool. So some of them are similar, but she's also like 23.
Yeah.
And she like talks to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Lily, I don't understand what you're saying to me. Like, I don't understand your lingo. And she's like, mare. But she's amazing. I love you.
Funny.
Don't get mad at me. I love you.
That's crazy working for Disney. That's got to be nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Disney, but it's not Disney. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
it's Disney Springs, so I think it's a little bit different than working like in the actual place and having Mickey like as your sous chef over your shoulder, like, because he doesn't actually talk, does he?
I don't think so. I haven't been there since. I was just talking to somebody about this. I went as a child, and then I've always wanted to go back. And then I have friends that are like Disney people, and they go every year and like get like this secret society and like get taken to like special places in the resort. It's always fascinated me. I just never had time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have 2 weeks, or like even a week, or the money. I wish you had a money prop.
I like to reference thing as how many cookies I had to make to pay for something. So like I have an electric scooter, and I love it so much. Like I had to make 1,137 cookies to afford that scooter.
Yeah.
And like I went in with cash and I'm like, here. And they're like, it smells like sugar cookies.
Is it street legal?
Oh yeah.
So you have a scooter you drive around on?
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. It's like the coolest thing. People are always like, you're going to kill yourself. And I'm like, well, it was a good ride.
Literally.
Literally.
What's it like being able to dump the creativity in? Because you brought some of the cookies, and it's so cool how you did my design on them, and then you did the troll, and then or Wishnick. I'm sorry, the Wishnick dolls. That's what they used to call them at the school store.
How old are you? Wishnick, like that was a troll. That is a troll. There is a little.
But they were called
belly
Wishnick trolls back in the day.
That you're supposed to like rub very seductively. Well, maybe not seductively, but...
And then you did, like, you broke down, we'll show them towards the end. We can go over all the cookies, but you brought down, like, each burger part where you would, like, make the whole smash burger. That's got to be a blast being able to just have that creative outlet. I mean, where did that come from with your creativity and, like, you know, you don't just make this stuff. I mean, were you always creative growing up? Did you find it hard to not have an outlet until you had this? Or, like, where does that design and making come from?
So creativity is a blessing and a curse because my head does not turn off ever. Yeah. And so I have a creative, chaotic mind, I guess. And so sometimes a lot of things in my life will fall to the wayside because I'm like manic into something, but it's a blessing because it's fun, but then it's a curse because people will be like, oh, do whatever you want. And I'm like, but you have to give me an idea of what you want. Like, you can't just say that. I've made mortician cookies. Like, I hand sculpted this little dead guy. His name was Sal. I like to give them
so awesome.
backstories.
Yeah.
Sal was in the mob.
Yeah.
And he got whacked. I had a whole story for him. I don't remember all of it, but like I sculpted him and I put him in this little coffin that I made out of a sugar cookie. And then I made toe tags and then, like, it's a whole thing. It can be fun, but then sometimes people are like, oh, do whatever you want. And then they get it and they're like, I'm like, well, I did whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
So it's hard and it's fun at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that just getting tattooed that it is good to let the artist do what they would like to do, but you also have to give them direction.
Well, yeah, I don't want like a cat. I don't want like some cat on my body coming out of like a skeleton riding a unicorn.
Yeah. Because you don't know what the artist is into or what they're feeling at the time. So if I'm like, yeah, do you, and then I get there and I'm like, this isn't really what I wanted. But it was probably like 5-6 tattoos in, working with the same artist and working on getting a sleeve or something like that. Then I started noticing like they enjoyed making it because you weren't dictating like, hey, make this tail green and make this foot purple. And like when somebody oversteps that boundary, that's when it becomes a headache and it's not fun to work. But if you give someone like, hey man, I just need you to make bite cookies and my kid likes the color blue, run with it. Like that's the best way. But then I think some people get confused sometimes where they think that you're just going to come up with all this stuff and that you're going to give them exactly what they want, but then they give you zero direction. But then if they come too hard, or if they're like, hey, do this, then it becomes a nightmare.
Well, not only that, like I always ask people to send me some photos. Like I want to have a base for jumping off of. But if you send me a photo, I'm not going to take that person's work and just completely copy it. Like you can't do that. That's not fun. So I like to have a starting off point, but you also don't know how many cutters. Well, now you all know that I have 1,900 cutters.
How do you organize them? Are they just in a drawer on top of each other? Or are they like a John Wick cabinet that you open up and you're like, there's this one, there's that one? Like, do you have a
that
cabinet?
moment in A Beautiful Mind when all of the like letters are going? It's like, where's that cookie cutter?
Yeah.
I do have. They're organized. I have like the boxes or the you know what I'm saying when I say this. And I have an Excel spreadsheet that my bestie came over and did, and she was like, Meredith, I hate you. Why do you have so many cookie cutters? And I'm like, just keep doing your work.
Yeah.
So I have it all organized, and I pretty much know what I have. Although I do have 4 bins that say not inventoried on them, and then I forget what I have in there like all the time. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a process.
When did you come up with the process for the customer, like at this point, because you're 5 years in, when a client comes to you, like what's the process of like what we go through? Because you probably had to have had some nightmares in the beginning where it's dragging and there's too much creativity and you're not hitting the deadline, or like they wanted a specific time, but you got to time it all out. Like, do you have a format now that you have the customer go through in order for you to be organized on your end?
I want so badly to say to you that I am on it, that I know what I'm doing, that I am like,
I'm just hoping you're not,
crap.
so I feel good.
I'm not.
Same.
Basically, no, I have amazing customers. I have an amazing following, an amazing base of people that every single one of them, I call them my friends. You know that you're my friends. I've never really had someone push back on me much. So basically you message me and you're like, yo, I want some cookies. And I'm like, hey, I make them. That's awesome. And then we just kind of talk back and forth a little bit. And I usually do pickups on Fridays just because it's easier for me. But I don't know. I don't really have a process.
Yeah.
Usually it's right when I'm baking that I actually think of what I'm going to make for you. Most of the time, nobody knows what they're getting until they get it. And that can be... most of the time it's fine. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it's fine. Because that's just how I work. I don't pre-plan.
Yeah.
I know people that like sketch it out. I've had people ask me for sketches and I'm like, until the day that I'm baking your cookies, I'm not going to know what I'm doing, which is probably a terrible business practice, but
I don't think it is. I think, I work a lot like that where you kind of like don't know really. I mean, I do it with the interviews. I don't know what we're going to do. Like I went over the basic of like, hey, we're going to get into like, what anyone would do with an interview. When did you start baking? But then this conversation just goes wherever it is. So like I've already had people be like, hey, if you can send me over like the questions you're going to ask. And then like, that's usually why I get on the phone with people before I start. Cause I know within the first couple minutes on the phone what I plan on doing, but it's weird to explain because I know it, but it's not going to happen until we start doing it. So when people are like, hey, can you just like give me the questions? And I'm like, that's not really how any of this works. And then like, there's been times where like I didn't know anything with the guest, or like when I bring in the guys from the finishers, you know, those guys, they're not running businesses or anything. It's you're just telling a story of, you know, why martial arts impacted their life, and those are way harder to do than talking to somebody about a business. But I don't think it's a bad thing that you wait until. I think if you did it the other way, it wouldn't be as freeing and create like it wouldn't be creative, and then it would just feel like a business, and then you wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't. To me right now, it does not feel like a business. I do have plans to open a storefront though, and that's when it's going to start feeling like a business, obviously.
Well, not that it doesn't feel like a business, but it doesn't feel like work because you're still being creative.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a business here, and you're running a business, but like what I meant was like what I do on a daily basis does not feel like work. Like yesterday we went to that coffee shop, and that was like research and development, and I'm like, this is why I did this, because I don't want it to feel like going and working at, you know, when I worked at Lowe's or when I cooked in a kitchen. Like I don't want it to feel like that. And then when it gets to feeling like that, at least it's for me and my business, and then all of it's coming back to me. It's not just a very small portion of being controlled and told what to do, and you have to be there at this time. So like I think if you did it any other way than the way you're doing it now, it wouldn't be special and unique.
No, that's right. And my boss is a real jerk. I mean, she's awful. But I am, you know, employee of the month for 7
I wish you like
years running
changed
now.
a photo out of yourself on the wall.
Okay, so let's bring up my other prop. I have a letterboard at my house that I will regularly say, Employee of the Year.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
You're
awesome.
doing it, kid.
So I want you to make me your Employee of the Month or your Guest of the Month.
Yeah.
And I brought you an autographed.
Yes, I will frame that and put it on the wall. That's a
says,
good idea.
Baking is love made edible, love Shug.
I've had one person give me headshots. They mailed me their headshots after they came on the show. But I'm definitely doing that. I'll save that, and because the way the new studio is going to be set up is it's going to be totally different, and I need to have something on the walls behind me, and I haven't figured it out yet. So there has to be a guest, like a guest of the year, and then seriously, leave that. I will frame it, and that's going to go up there. That's awesome. I can't believe you brought. I know I can believe that you brought that, but you were like, I'm not pulling the props out unless you hit the questions.
It started as a joke. A couple of my cousins were like, "Oh, we need autograph," and I sent them autographed photos of myself, and they're on their fridges still. I have some pretty awesome family, but it just started as a joke, and now I'll randomly print them and give them to people, and they're like, wait, what am I supposed to do with this? But like my bestie has it on her wall in her house, and somebody has actually asked her like in a meeting, because you can see it, like and she's like, they're like, who's that? And she's like, you don't know who that is?
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like I get recognized in Walmart, I get recognized at Giant. I've had people sniff me, which is interesting. Please don't sniff me. But I love it. Like people will run to me and be like, "You're the cookie lady," and I'm like, "Yo, I am. That's awesome." And they'll be like, "Oh, I love your stories. You're so funny." And I'm like, "Well, sometimes." Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
When did the social media start growing to a point that you were like, wow, there's a following here? Because I know what it's like when you start seeing, like people reach out to me and they'll be like, hey, like I really like the podcast, and I really like, you know, like this episode helped me out here. And then like when I started doing the finishers tournaments and I started doing the food for them, then people started coming to me for the first time because, you know, I'm not doing food pickup, so I was never really interacting with my fans or like people that listen to the show. So like when I was there, people would come up and they were buying a burger and they're like, yo, dude, love the podcast. And I was like, what? Like people listen to this stuff?
It's
and then
so
like,
crazy.
Because I just keep doing it. And then like, you know, and it's like, when I used to do stories more and I don't have the time to do stories, and I will eventually get back into stories a little bit more. But like when I was doing that all the time, like I'd be out at the bar and people would be like, yo, you remember when you said that on your story? And I was just like, yeah, this is really weird. But what was that like for you to start building an interactive audience? Because it's hard to have an interactive audience. And the fact that you have an interactive audience that's like buying your stuff, recognizing you, following you. Like when that had to have been so weird to just start seeing that grow, especially from like not doing anything at all and then being like, here's some squirrel cookies. And then there's like 500 people that are like, hey, can I get some cookies? Like, this is a fun follow. Like, you know, I'm sure people interact with you all the time because your stories are like, they're funny. So like, I bullshit with you back and forth in your stories. Like, it's got to happen a lot. What was that like to go from not being out in the public's eye at all to then putting yourself totally out there?
So one, these squirrel cookies are amazing. Don't knock them.
I'm not. I would like a batch.
I think I still have the cutter. And I actually upgraded my squirrel into like this very like majestic one. And I was going to bring you one and then I forgot. It's validating. It's pretty interesting. I'm one of those people that you either love me or you're like, oh my gosh, she's too much. I can't handle it. And that's okay. That's me. I've come to terms with that. Lots of crying, but I've come to terms with that. So I don't know. I have a personal Instagram. I think there's like 4 photos on it now because I just don't post on it. And I kind of take my business as, yes, you come for my cookies, but you come back because they're delicious and you come back because I'm fun and you feel like you're a part of something.
Yeah.
I do a lot of donations, a lot of work with charities, and that also has people wanting to feel like they're also making a difference. I've like raffled off cookies and people are so generous. They'll be like, oh, here's $100 for raffle tickets. Like, I love what you're doing. So I think part of it was just me putting myself out into the community and like I call myself a small time humanitarian, and that brought people and that started my following with just doing more. I'm not just cookies. Like, you can buy cookies from anybody, but you're not buying cookies from me. You're getting a friend. Remember, everybody's my friend if you talk to me at least once. And you're getting to be part of me helping the community. And that sounds awful. Like, it sounds so gross, but that's what I mean.
Yeah. Like when you build a brand and you build something and then it just kind of like I don't know if it's the same way that I did this, but like when I started doing this and started building it around me, and then made my life my social media and then somehow turned a business into my life and then just went forward with it. It wasn't anything that I was unnaturally trying to do. And then when like now when I look at like why it works, it's like, but then I see other people, and this isn't a knock at anybody, but it's like I see other people trying to do that, and it's for other reasons than why they're doing it. Like I wanted a platform, and I wanted I was like going through a very difficult time when I got sober. So like I needed something to do. So I started making t-shirts, and then like the sobriety fell into like people being like, yo man, what do you don't drink anymore? And I'm like, nope, I have this clothing company. And they're like, that's cool. I'll support that because I know you're doing something. And then in the beginning, like it was so hard for me I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to be like, oh, hey, I'm the t-shirt guy. Like I didn't want any attention on it because I wasn't doing it for attention. No. And even to this day, I don't do any of this stuff because I think it's fun to work way more than I have at any other job to get by doing this. But this is like later in life, I realized that like this is what I needed. Yeah. And then like that's what I think when you created this and like, you know, you stepped out of the shadow of like not really putting yourself out there, and then you do put yourself out there, and then you're like, oh, this is the version of me that everybody at the hardware store really liked. You know what I mean? Like it's hard, and I'm sure it might be like this for you, but it's like, I used to only ever show this version of Michael to my friends. They only got Michael, because we'd go out, he's the funniest. He's the funniest. Yeah. Then it would take a couple of drinks, and then I would have to loosen up, and then I would be Michael. But like, when you figure out how to be the best version of yourself that you only show to friends and family and put that into a business and then build a brand behind it, it's just something that fills you as a whole, and then you just kind of do it. You just do it. So then when you're explaining like, well, it's not just a cookie, it's like, no, you're not getting just a cookie. You're getting the story of a woman who wanted to do more with her life. And then now she's going back to school and she does all this stuff, but then she's over here donating money and charity. And it's like all the things that you probably wanted to do when you were back here. And then you're like, I'm just going to, sorry. I've been doing so good with not swearing. Then you're like, okay, now I'm going to do this. And you move forward. And then it's almost like the sky's the limit. And I feel like that's how it is with me, where it's like, I can do anything I want now. Like I can, like somebody hit me up and they're like, hey, we're going to drop off a box for Toys for Tots, Space Camp, Ad Lib and those guys. And I was like, yeah, 100%. I have enough pull now with social media that I could fill that box of toys up. And then it's like, now it's like, you're not investing, you're not listening to me for another podcast. You're following along on the journey and you're being a part of it when I do a pop-up or, you have a guest on that and then it's like, then it's just growing it naturally out there. And it's like, it's hard to explain to people what that's like on the other side because you're just being yourself, which is why, like, the first time I got on your social media, I'm like, this girl's killing it. But it's because you're you. You're not trying to be funny cookie lady. Like, you're like, oh, she's funny. She knows what she's doing. She's creative. She's got different angles. Then you bring people into your daily lives. And I'm just like, yo, like, this is just so, like, you literally become your friend because you're talking to everybody how you would talk to your friends. Well, it's a very unique thing that you do. It's you downplay it, but everyone does who comes on here. But like, it's awesome what you're doing.
Well, thank you. That's very validating as a person to hear that somebody else is like, hey, whoa, you're kind of fun. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, you're right. I do not get on my story or post or something and think, what are people going to say about this? I get on there and I'm like, yo, something just happened.
Yeah, it's like what you would say calling your friends who don't answer anymore because you call them every 5 minutes.
They're like, oh, you have another story?
Yes. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, yo, Insta story turned into like the friend that always picks up to tell apart. Because it's like, I would always call my friends and be like, what? And I'd be like, tell them this funny story. Or like people would... But if you do that too much to your friends, they're just, they're going to send you to voicemail. Oh, yeah. And they do. So like Insta story became this obsession that I, especially early on when I didn't know what I was doing. Like I would just be down here like, and I want to start doing it again. It's just, there's so much going on. And I do have a team I'm building behind me. And once I have like time to myself again, I cannot wait to get back in Story. Cause I would like take people through episodes of TV I'm watching or would like put a bad movie on and be like, has anyone seen this? But like, that's the stuff that people love seeing because it's like they become your friend and can be watching what you're doing through your social media. But then at the same time, it's like, hey, I also sell t-shirts. Would anyone want to support me? Like when I started selling burgers, that was the first time that I ever had an interactive social media as far as like purchasing and all that. And it was almost like what was missing from what I was trying to do. And then when I put food in there, everything just boom, it worked. And I was like, dude, this, food. Yeah. And I was like, and then it's awesome because like, I do love cooking. I stopped doing it for a while. And then when I started doing it again for my friends when we were watching UFC fights down here, because we would all make a dish and then like, I just would go over the top and started making the burgers for everybody. And then like, for me to be able to do that with food, it's not about the money at all. I mean, like I said, half the time we're making money and buying more equipment because we're doing the bagels and like, it took 30 pop-ups to buy the mixer. And then it's just like, because then I'm like, shit, we need to do this. We need to do that. We need to get gas for the van. I got rid of my car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like when you get to that point and then you're able to like give people something that like is so personal to you that you only usually give to your friends, it's really cool. I mean, it's got to feel good for you to be making all this stuff and, giving it out to so many people and then being able to help charities and like grow it to a point, because it's tough in the beginning because it doesn't work. Like you're not going to get your money for your charity. You're not going to get the orders in. And then when it grows to a point where like you can literally just get by on it, I think that's where I'm at. And I'm just trying to hold on to like how important it is to be here because it took it took almost 15 years to get this far. So It's like, now that I'm here, it's like, I'm just enjoying it. And it's like, I know it's going to go further, but at this point, it's just like, I'm just trying to get by. And it's like, it's so hard to get here. And then, you have all the support, but everyone thinks it's just, oh yeah, you sell 1 million cookies a day.
Oh, how long does it take to make a cookie? An hour? Well, one, screw you. And two, no, it takes days. It's funny that you would mention like watching like a stupid movie on your stories because they're very very few stories that do not start with me crying over a movie. Like I watched Scream. Have you seen? You've seen Scream.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the movie, and Drew Barrymore, you know, she's like running and she's crying. And I am sitting there crying because I'm like, her mom is gonna come home and see her dead. Like that's how I watch horror movies now. And I've had so many people be like, I had to turn on the sound because I thought you were really crying over something, and I was like, I was.
Yeah. But I've done that too in stories, and it's like I forget what I was watching, or I would go on and I'd like capture the moment, because there is so many times where like I'm crying to a commercial just from like misplaced emotions. So I'll be like, I'm like, here I am crying to the Mighty Ducks again.
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah. It's not even that. I used to cry to the real world.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was emotional with Puck and Pedro. Just dating myself again. That's like 5 shows in a row.
But no, I totally agree with you. Like people want to see that, because like I want to watch people's stories that are like that. Like,
but I text Torres all the time. I'm like, I was like, I think it was the first time I was like crying to the Fast and Furious, and then he
I cried there too.
So then he'll be like, I cried in the theater. Was the one where it was after Paul Walker died, and then they did like the memorial at the end.
No!
But now Jay texts me and he'll be like crying to like Saved by the Bell, and then like it's stuff that like it's hard to explain to people when you put yourself out there like that and you are just being yourself. You're being vulnerable to situations that most people don't talk about, or they only talk about with their friends. So like I'll text my friend Lisa all the time, or my friend Draws, about all this different stuff. And then it's like when you start sharing that on social media, that's when it starts. It's Kevin. He's the in-house fly.
I love Kevin.
He's coming to the new
cute.
studio. So like when all that stuff hits, like that's kind of like what I took away from most with during that time of building a business sober, and then interacting with people that were like trying to change their lives through what I was doing. And then that's when like I was like, oh, okay, like I just want to keep doing this. Like I want to keep doing me. I want to keep being creative. I want to make clothing. I want to make, and this is why I love having people on like yourself. It's like you almost reignite like this passion of like why you started this, because it gets lost. It gets lost in the business. But it's like, I do want to make clothing. I do want to do more podcasts. I can't wait to start a cooking show. And like I was talking to you in the beginning, like I can't wait to bring people like yourself on, and Chris and all these different people that like I think it'll just be home runs to do cooking shows with. Because like now we could have done a podcast, and as soon as it was over, I was like, cool, let's make cookies. And then, like, we would go through a whole cooking thing.
So, no.
Yes.
I will not come on your cooking show and make my sugar cookies, because there are secrets.
Well, whatever. Then we'll buy, like, a Pillsbury tin.
Oh, my. No.
Well, then maybe I'll just make you something that...
I'll make something that... What?
Do you cook?
No.
So you don't cook at all? Kevin, please. We're in the middle of an interview.
Let me see. If I cook, my children will literally come in and go, is it edible?
What do you do for dinner then?
I mean, I find stuff. Like, I can heat stuff. I'm really good at heating.
I'm glad you told me this, because now I'm going to, like, we're going to do a cooking show, and I'm going to make you do, like, the heavy lifting of cooking. If we're not going to bake, I'm going to make you cook.
We can bake. I just can't make, like, decorated sugar cookies, because
No, you don't have to do that.
That's
We'll just, like, bake
secret.
something.
Like what? What do you want to bake? We can bake anything. I have to make another cake. I know how to bake potatoes.
That's all you feed your children.
They're alive. They're fine.
Yeah. Do they help you with the cookies?
No.
Yeah.
No, I can't. Can't do that. There was actually a time when I did not have a baker's rack, and my youngest was very little. And I mean, he's adorable, but he's also, and I can't use the word on the air, he's a butthead.
Yeah.
And he came in and he pushed his finger on like 12 cookies. He didn't eat them because he knew he wasn't allowed to eat them. But he pushed his finger into all those cookies. So, yeah, no, they don't help. Yeah.
We took the kids, Gina, who partners with the food, and her husband, Jer, produces the show. I'm super close with that family, and we go on vacation together. So, like, I'm like their uncle. And we took them, both of them, we tried, and like they were at like the pop-up for 10 minutes, and we're like, we want to go home.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, we want to go to the pop-up. And every time I'm like, do you remember? when we were at Finishers, and you were afraid to go inside and use the bathroom, and you complained the entire time that you had to pee, and then you didn't help, and you just complained, and then yelled at your mom, and
But that's
we had
what
to
you
sit
do
you
it
in the
as a
van.
child.
Yeah, no,
Like, I
believe
did
me,
that to
I
my
was
mom.
10 times worse. But I say to them, I was like, "Do you remember those moments?" And they say yes, and I go, "That's why you were fired. I fire them. You're fired. You
My
might be brought
kids-
back on, but you're fired for now."
I will let my kids put like the stickers of my face on the cookie because yes, you get a cookie, but you also get my face. It's kind of like a 2-for-1.
They are awesome. Like, I don't know if you do this, but we use them for taste testing because they're
My
at the
face?
age. What's that?
My face?
Yes. Like when we're done with a bagel, like they're not going to lie to us because they're like at a very young, raw age.
I totally
So
agree.
I love, like, I'll say and like Tucker's very picky with food right now. So like it's my favorite thing where I'll be like, "What do you think?" But I'm honestly like, if I get him to like the bagel, I know we're at a good point because he's going to rip the whole thing apart. Same with Violet. We'll be like, "How's the egg sandwich?" And she'll be like, "It's not that good." And I'm like, "Ugh." But I can give it to my friends and they'll be like, "Yo, this is the best thing I ever had." And I'm like, I like that compliment. Thank you. But it's not helping if it's not true.
My daughter, this morning I came down, I was like, "Yo, how does mommy look? Do I look okay?" And she was like, "Mm-hmm." And I was like, "Do what?" And she's like, "What's on your face?" And I was like, "Makeup." And she's like, "Take it off." So yes, they're very honest.
Yeah.
Is the word. Yes. So they'll eat stuff sometimes. Like I made a cake for class and it had Italian buttercream. Italian buttercream is fun. It looks great. It doesn't taste that great, in my opinion. I don't like cake. 2 of them were like, "This is amazing, Mom." The other one's like, "Yo, you don't need to make this again."
It's huge to have that, though.
Yeah. It's nice because then you're like, okay, actually, it's a medium cake. It's not a great cake. It's a medium cake. It looks great, but it's not the best
We go out
taste.
to different bagel shops just trying to find like what is around here. And
I love that.
We always bring one home for Violet, and then or like yesterday, or Gina will cut the sandwich in half, and then when Violet gets off the bus, like her thing now is like she'll ask and be like, "Did you guys bring me home something from research and development?" And then but like I texted her yesterday and I was like, what did Violet think of that sandwich? Because there's a very small window before they're conscious of not being too honest, and then that just disappears, and then you know what I mean. So
totally
like
agree.
it's huge to have somebody completely tell you what's up. And sometimes if I could tell like Tucker had a bad day at school, he's just trashing my food. But you can tell, like, I'll be like, "No, seriously, man." And then, but it's cool to work with kids in that fashion where he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "What do you like about it?" And then I'll like talk him through while he's eating it. I'll be like, "Can you taste this? Can you taste that? Like, what do you remember the very first time you had a bagel?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Where are we at here?" And then like, but they answer me like if I walk them through that, their memory's good on it, and like, it's cool having them at that age to really get honest, brutal.
I do the same exact thing. Obviously, I'm not going to get bagels. I'm getting cookies. I go to bakeries everywhere. I'll buy multiple things. I'll come home with these boxes. And my kids are like, "Let's go." Yeah. But our thing, we like to taste chocolate chip cookies. Because chocolate chip cookie... I had someone explain this to me once, and I thought, this is exactly right. Chocolate chip cookies are not a taste. They're a feeling.
Yeah. They really are.
They're totally a feeling.
And that's so true. That's so true.
They are, my mom made the best chocolate chip cookie ever. You are never, ever going to make a chocolate chip cookie that is better than someone's mom's.
Yeah.
Like, you never are. But I still will go to every place and get a chocolate chip cookie. And I like my chocolate chip cookie to be soft. And
Yes.
it's almost like it's an experience.
Yeah.
Like I want to smell it and I want to like break it open and I want to like rub it on my body. No, I'm not. It's an experience. So we like to try all the chocolate chip cookies together. We have not found a chocolate chip cookie that we like better than mine.
Is that the one that's over there?
They like those. I don't know. I have a lot of different chocolate chip cookie recipes. I don't remember usually what ones I make, but I like to salt them.
Yeah.
I like salt on mine.
I'm trying. You threw me for a loop because
I'm sorry.
no. Chocolate chip cookies are my favorite thing. And when you said it is more of a feeling, it made me go back and think about the moments where I had really good chocolate chip cookies. And it isn't like, wow, this is good. It is how it makes you feel.
It totally is. And like I remember down to the science of what my mother's look like and taste like and feel like. And mine are nowhere near the same as my mom's. Do I still eat them? Yeah, but they're not my mom's.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where you're never going to make one better than someone's mom or someone's grandma or like that weird aunt that only ever makes those and then brings you pop at the same time. And you're like, okay, Aunt Frida, this is great.
What do you mean by pop?
So I grew up on the other side of the state and we called it pop.
Yeah. No, the first time I went,
soda.
I went with a friend and we went to, he was in a band and they were playing a show. Is that like an up north thing?
I was a Western Pennsylvania girl. So yeah, it's pop. It's pop to me.
So like the area we were in, we just kept saying soda and they kept saying pop, and I thought it was the weirdest thing ever.
I think soda is like so weird.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while I'll say soda and I'm like, oh, Meredith, blame it all on your roots.
What was it like having the support of your friends and family? Because I'm sure when you started doing this, what were they thinking when you were like, hey, I'm doing this? Were they were like, cool, it's about time you finally decided to do something because they knew that you're fun and creative and wanted to see this version of you move forward for other people? Or were they just kind of like what was the response from all your friends and family when you started doing all this?
So I actually started my creative journey. I hate using that word, but my creative journey as a seamstress. And I sewed and I made quilts and then I started embroidery. And then...
Did you like embroidery?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's all I wanted to know. No more follow-up.
Okay, thank you. I liked it. It was fine. It just wasn't right for me. And so I started... with the cookies, like my squirrels, and that just something clicked. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I liked the immediate rush of having them done instead of, oh, my quilt's taking me 3 years.
Yeah.
Cool. It's going to be forever. I don't like that. I like.
Plus, there's something about giving someone food.
Food is my love language.
Yeah. So like
totally.
When you make food for someone and you understand how to put emotion into it and make your food taste better because you care about it, and then when you give it to someone, like one of my favorite things is when people come up to get a burger and they'll be like, "Yo, I'll have one." And I was like, okay. And they're always like bigger dudes. And I'll be like, especially at finishers, that's where it started happening the most, where they'd be like, cool, just like a burger. And I was like, yep. And then they'd be back in line and they'd come back up and they were like, can I have another burger? And then sometimes people would come up 3 times. And then it's like that feeling of like, yeah, you get it. You get what this is. You get what this is supposed to be. You get all the flavor combinations. Or when people come over and they're like, yo, the pickle you put on there. Like when you relate to somebody with food and they're having the exact moment that you had biting it to create that taste, it's really hard to kind of compare it to. And I've done a lot of different things in life, and there's really nothing else that compares to that moment of making somebody something and then them tasting it exactly how you wanted it to be.
Yeah. Like I said, food is my love language. I grew up in a very, very large family. My mom has 9 brothers and sisters. I think I have 1,000 cousins. Basically, I'm related to everyone in that town. And so when we would get together, everyone would bring food. Everyone would bring a dessert. We have our own family cookbook. Actually, we have 2. And I have a cookbook that I've made myself. And so food has always been a very large part of my life. And it makes sense that I went into this. It makes sense that I'm now at this point in my life with food. But yeah, it's my love language. Eating it, giving it, feeding people. Well, not real food, just like cookies and shit. But that, yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Where do you see yourself going next with all this? You've been grinding it out for years, and I'm sure by this point you probably have a plan. You said before about going to brick and mortar, but like, where do you see this ending up as like, it'll be easier for you to do this in brick and mortar, but like, where do you want to see this? Do you want to see this opening up a shop in your hometown just so it's easier for you? Do you plan on like opening up multiple ones? Do you want to stay just on the line? Like, what do you want to do with it?
I love when people are like, "Oh, you work for yourself. That must be so freeing."
No,
Like,
it's not.
it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm still working.
Yeah.
Like I work 24/7. But I mean, having a shop is the grand plan. Do I want more than one? No. I want it to still be me.
Yeah.
I don't want people coming in and decorating the cookies for me. And I don't want to just do cookies. Like I love eclairs. I don't want to eat them.
Yeah, I do.
I don't want to eat them. I want to make them.
Yeah.
Like I made a strawberry basil one and it just like, it was so good. So I want to make other things and not just cookies. And I want that sense of community. I want to be able to bring people in on like a Monday night or a Tuesday night or whatever and be like, oh, let's watch The Bachelor together. You can buy a couple cookies. We'll sit around and we'll talk. And I want to.
Yeah, that's a great idea
because
because you can do like you can host little things then out of the
Yes.
shop.
I love to give parties. Like I do tea parties and garden parties and stuff for like my friends. And people have said, I want you to do that for me. And I'm like, well, it's different. It's harder. But if I had a place, I can have people come in for tea parties and enjoy that with them and create an experience. It's just not just the cookies. It's the feeling. I want.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I compare a lot of stuff with the guests that come on, but it's like where I want to go with all this and the new studio and the cooking show, and it's like, I don't want this to just be a podcast. I want this to be something where people can completely enjoy me being free as an artist, doing whatever I want for a living, and then all the stuff that I've always said, oh, well, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, you should do it this way, and then now it's like being able to the point where like, like I had the girls on from the laser hair removal, and like I love having them on. They're so much fun, but like we want to put together like a soiree, we called it, and then like, I want to have people down here and then like get food from Giacomo's because they sponsor the show and Sal's awesome. So it's like, like have this whole experience where like I can really show you how these people are. And it's like, I can do only so much through an interview, but like then for people to come down and meet these people where they might, hey, I am interested in doing something, or it's just like a little networking thing that would be created inside of it. But that would be so awesome. But it makes sense from like interviewing you and like seeing all the stuff that that's my favorite thing about this is like we wouldn't have had this time to like get to know each other like this because everybody's life's busy. But then with peeling back your story, it would only make sense that would be the direction of what you would go with this. For the type of person you are, you can't just make cookies and do them. It's going to go further because you're the type of person that is going to push for things further and further and further. So why wouldn't you have your own shop that you could set up these events and then people could interact with you, and then they could come in and have this experience, but at the same time be supporting you. But it's a place where they can get away and kind of live in this little moment. And I don't know. I knew the moment I talked to you, this was going to be a really good interview, and I said that to you. And then when I started really following your social media and paying attention to like what you were, not just like watching it, like paying attention from somebody who also does social media, and you do such a fantastic job. I feel like you've really cut your own out of, like you said, anybody could just make cookies, but you really stamped like, this is me, this is what I'm doing. I feel like you're way above a lot of other things that people are trying to do as far as like you have it. And when I say that, it's like you've literally taken your life and put it out there in a positive fashion that is completely interactive. And then at the same time, you're branding, like the branding you do and everything you do is, when I first saw it, I was like, man, like it was remarkable to see how well you were doing it. And I just wanted to bring you on to kind of showcase everything that you do. I want to give you a moment to have everybody who doesn't follow you find out where they can follow you, how they buy your cookies. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
Compliments are really hard for me. So you're like kind of killing me right now.
No. I like ending the show that way because compliments are hard for me.
It's so hard.
When we first started doing the show, we kind of did it as a joke. But then like I really just save what I think of the person immediately through their social media and how their business is for the very end. And it was really dope listening to how you did all this. I really like how, you make it a part of your family, but then at the same time, it's
mine.
Yeah, it's yours.
It's mine. I have to have something that is mine.
And that's what I was trying to say. I could have done it in a much shorter fashion, but just saying you cut your own out, but you have. And when I see that, I always like to tell people like, it took a long time for me to carve my own thing. And then
It's a thing.
and it also like it's hard for me to admit that I've done it because nothing like, I have terrible self-esteem and like I don't give myself credit for anything that I do. And I feel like I've gotten that far because of that. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, but like I really like talking to people about how they cut out their own. And that's what I was saying about like how you stand out from the others is you completely cut out your own and you've hit a home run on every mark. I'm done complimenting.
Thank you.
I'm done.
I'm like,
no, I know that
got
feeling. I
hives
hate
right
it.
now.
I hate it.
No, it's nice to hear, but yeah. If you want my cookies, you have to buy them from me.
You're like, that's it.
That's-
Goodbye.
You just gotta buy them. I have cookies at Firehouse Coffee Company in Maxitani. I have pop-ups coming up with you
Yeah, doggy.
and Local Stone at Funk Brewing
Yeah.
on December 4th, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty
It is
sure
the
it was
4th.
the 4th.
It was either the 4th or the 11th, and I
It's
think
the 4th. It's totally
yeah.
not the 11th.
Nope.
But like, you're
Thanks for
killing me.
pretending that you almost didn't know.
Now I'm not sure. But like right now I have no open time, and I'm not taking orders until like February or March because I have to do an externship for school. So basically, if you don't get them when I do pre-orders on my Facebook or pop-ups,
When did you start doing the pop-ups?
I don't. Basically, you guys came to me and were like, "Bring your crap," and I was like, "Cool."
Oh, so you really haven't been like going and doing pop-ups? I thought you did.
No.
Terrible research for this interview.
Not really. Every once in a while, I'll do them. I do a show at the country club, the Lehigh Country Club, every year for Kay Galgon Lifehouse, and that's like my biggest. I guess you would call it a pop-up vendor event, whatever.
Yeah.
I usually sell out. I raised I think $900 last year for them by
Hell yeah, doggy.
giving them a cookie class that they auctioned off. I'm like their biggest. I was their biggest donation or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's great. Like, cool. But, yeah, I don't usually do pop-ups.
You should start.
No.
Why not?
It's hard.
It is. It's a lot of work. I'm telling you that when you got here. I'm like, I'm getting away from pop-ups.
Yeah, like, you're like, I'm done. Oh, you should start, Mary. Like, go for it. Like, no.
It's good to get yourself out there, and it's a good way to test the waters if that's the type of business you want to do. But like where it's at now going into year 2, and we did so many, and because like we started at like mid-season and then just started going. And then like I remember, I'm so dumb. Like, I'm bad at scheduling, so like I scheduled like 4 in a row, and then I was just like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
So
and then
much
then I'm
work.
like, "Oh man, I got to buy all this hamburger. I got to roll all the, you know." It's not like I'm buying this stuff or paying somebody to make the patty balls. Like I got to do all that stuff and like weigh them out. It's like the kids helped once, and then they were like, "Nah, we're good."
I mean, the packaging.
It's very tedious. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
The packaging, the icing, the having ideas of what are people actually going to buy. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
We're going to this pop-up at Funk, and I'm like, okay, do I bring like cookie dunkers? Do I bring cookie cakes? Do I bring regular cookies? Are people going to eat these together? Are they going to share them? Are they going to take them home?
You
Are they
should
going to
just
give them
bring
as
chocolate
Christmas
chip.
presents? Like, seriously.
Chocolate chip, and then
I'm
if
not-
nobody gets any, I'll buy them all
I'm
or
gonna bring
steal them all
chocolate
from
chip,
you.
and I'm gonna bring other stuff. But it's one of those things like you don't know what you're doing, and then what am I gonna make like 3,000 cookies? I'm not gonna make 3,000 cookies, but am I gonna make like all these cookies?
It's tough. It's tough, and like that's the big thing with what we're deciding with what we're gonna do next year is like, you know, like if you have a pop-up coming up and the weather's not the greatest, and then you don't know what you should get, and then if you don't, you know,
What are you?
what are you supposed to do with 2,000 cookies?
Well, I would just bring them home, and people would buy them. I don't have any problem with that part of it. It was just that's a lot of prep work on me.
It's a lot.
When I'm also
You should
at
get into
school.
pop-ups.
And the interview is over.
You know what we should do is we should do something down here before I leave.
we can do that.
Yeah, we should do a tea party. Why don't you want to do a tea party? I like tea.
So, so my aesthetic is maybe not your aesthetic.
What do you mean? You don't think this is like a...
I'm looking at like all this liquor bottles or Proper 12, but I'm not sure what that is. But like all these things, and I'm like, I have like vintage floral tablecloths.
Yeah, we can
and
like make it like a Mad Hatter tea party type thing, you know? Make it work.
emphasis on the mad part of it.
I'm excited with moving into the new spot, and then like that's going to really open the door to being able to like, you know,
Yes.
do a podcast, do a
Yes.
cooking show, have a pop-up there, and then also like, because we could turn the pop-up into like, hey, like, we should do like an event thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really excited for the growth that I see that, like, one, I could help businesses out. Two, it's bringing something to Nazareth. And then, like, it also is just kind of like, you know, it's like not like a little push. Like, there's like, yeah, we can do like a lot of stuff. And like, that's what I can't wait for. I don't really want to do anything else down here. Even after I mentioned it, I was like, I would just lie and say I couldn't do it if she wanted to.
What?
End interview.
End interview.
No,
Oh
I'm
my
just kidding.
Gosh. So we're not having a tea party now?
I want to. You said my place looks stupid.
I don't remember the word stupid coming out of my mouth. I think I just said our aesthetics are different.
We can find a venue.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, there's like a couple fire halls by me.
I'm pretty sure I have at least 30 people that would come and be like, Mayor, let's drink some tea. And I'd be like, yeah. But you have to wear a dress.
I have a couple.
I'm like a fancy, like it has to be fancy. Like you have to be in it and ready. And like.
Yeah. Do you go to like, we're just rambling now at this point, and I'll let it only go for a little bit longer. But do you go to like tea rooms and stuff?
No.
Yeah. There's like a tea place around here. I forget, but it's like a tea room. Well, when you said dresses and stuff, or it's like places where people dress up and go have tea.
I just love wearing dresses. And like my birthday's this week. And so we were trying to find like cocktail places to go. And I don't know.
Where do you think you're going to go?
I don't know. If I tell you, then you're going to show up and it's going to be weird, Mike.
No, I'm not. I'm going to be like, yo, cookie lady.
Yes. And I'll be like,
there
what?
she is.
It's my birthday. 29, you know.
Damn. I'm old.
Do you really think that's true?
That's all. I've dated women before. No, not at all. I thought you were 25.
Oh, 20, maybe 27. No, I don't know where we're going. We have to hash that out still because I wanted to go to this. There's a cocktail place, but then it's kind of far. But then the like clothing boutique lady that Love Obsessed that I follow, she went to it a couple of times, and I'm like, well, she went to it. Has to be awesome. But it's like an hour and a half, and
that's a drive.
One drink, and I am.
Yeah, it's a long drive.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out.
What social media do you want everybody to check out, and how can they find you?
What do you mean, what social media?
Like your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
My Instagram.
Did we already do this part?
No, because you went on a tangent about tea parties.
And then you said you hated my place.
I didn't say that either. I think I said it was stupid. No. Instagram is sugar_mayor. Sugar Mayor. I don't remember. It's Sugar Mayor something.
I'll have it in there.
And then my Facebook is Sugar Mayor. And then.
Is that all you do? Facebook and Instagram?
I lean a lot heavier on Instagram.
Same.
Because it's more fun.
Yeah.
Facebook is a Debbie Downer. But I have...
Yeah. If people can actually talk on there, it's like, get out of here, man.
Yeah, but I'll post on Facebook, like, when I sell. Like, that's where I'll post.
I post, like, from Instagram, then it reposts on the Facebook.
I don't even do that.
Yeah. It's
Because
just, like, automatically does it, and then I don't even care.
You're supposed to do, like, different things on different platforms, so I'm trying to post this picture on here
Who
and this
knows
picture
how
on
long
here.
I'll even keep Facebook, because once it goes to, like, that virtual stuff, I don't even think it's going to be anything that is useful. I love Instagram. Instagram is my favorite place to go for following people. Yes. I think it's the perfect platform for art and different things, and you can buy stuff, and I just think it's like the best version of what social media should be. I don't understand Twitter. Snapchat I'm too old for, so I just keep it to Instagram and Facebook. But I'll have both of your stuff up there, and I'll put links to your Facebook and all that. But seriously, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, it's neveragainstudio.com. That has all of the episodes previous, and our clothing is on there. And if you links to YouTube, follow the YouTube. I'm trying to build the YouTube following out because that's going to eventually turn into where we're going to put the cooking show. It's Never Again Studio on YouTube, Never Again Studio on Instagram, neveragainstudio.com. I don't want to say never again anymore. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast. We should do this again after we do the pop-up.
Sure.
And then just kind of just hang out and try and get local Stone on. I think he's going to be listening to this, but I think he's shy. I've been trying to get him to come on for like 3 years.
I'll make him.
I want to make him, so I think he should debut.
Just bring
when
your
we get
stuff
back.
to the pop-up, and we will do it and not tell him.
I do want to start taking it on the road. It's just realizing how much, like, we have to break all the equipment down.
I've got a little
and set it
tripod.
up.
We'll be fine.
All right. Well, we'll just run it off the tripod. Thank you so much. That's it. I'm just ending the show. We're not going to stop talking. Thank you again. I should just keep awkwardly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to leave it on you awkwardly.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.